Welcome to A Drop of Happy, where we focus on carefree, stress well, light and lively living while loving and reviewing entertainment art tidbits. I am your host, Wanda Toby, and your stress management advocate. And a little bit about me. I am a registered nurse, former ER nurse, certified rehab counselor with a master's in health science, and I recently got my MBA. So we're very excited and happy about that, which we'll kind of touch on, like the elephant in the room. Where have I been? So this podcast is kind of focuses on my two obsessions. Entertainment, like everything in entertainment, books, movies, all of it.
Okay.
And, and stress management and helping people with stress management and just kind of educating people on everything stress management, because I am a little obsessed with everything that has to do with stress management, and basically really focusing on using what you've got to get through what you've got going on. And again, with that being said, why are we so hard on ourselves? Like, people who are, I don't want to say overachievers, but people who like to get things done, or people who envision a better life for themselves, are really, really hard on themselves. Me, I am people. Why am I so hard on myself? Why are you so hard on yourself? Why do we want to do everything? Like, get everything done, all the things. I think part of that is the climate that we live in, the society that we live in. And part of that is not being able to let go. So with that being said, again, addressing the elephant in the room, I haven't blogged or done a podcast since January. Why is that? No flipping idea. I mean, I guess I kind of have an idea. I've been stressed out. And in order to get back to it and get back to myself, there's a lot of things in life that has been happening since I finished getting my MBA, which was not as easy as maybe I thought it was going to be. But I did finish that in November, and I thought I'm going to take a little break and then I'm going to get back into it. And it's 5 months later, not gotten back into it. Hadn't got the mojo back. What's up with that? Lots of things. Life is lifing. But in order for me to get back into it, I wanted to maybe kind of shed some light on what I think is going on and what maybe y'all might do too. Because I'm stressing myself out about stress. This doctor, Dr. Kim D'Eramo, she is basically a mind-body specialist doctor. I really resonate with her because she has her background in emergency medicine, and I was an ER nurse for about 3 years, and that's the specialty that I wanted to go into, because it kind of addresses, it's a little bit of everything, and I'm a little bit of everything kind of gal. But she's a doctor, and she focuses now on the mind and the body and healing. She has a mind-body toolkit, and she started an institute on mind-body and all this good stuff. And she has, and I'll put the link because I really, really, really think it would be beneficial for y'all to spend some time watching it. It's about 45 minutes. She has some question and answer portions to it as well, but it is titled Stop Working on Yourself. And although I told myself that I've been recuperating or rejuvenating or whatever from busting my butt to get this degree, right? While going to work and having a new job and yada, 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 like all the things that goes on with life, managing kids, blah, 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 right? Just life and all the ups and downs and stressful things that goes on with that. So in the midst of that and in the midst of thinking, oh, I'm just going to kind of relax, is the thing where I am working on myself while I relax. So I did start reading this book, and I've talked about it, and I've been meaning to do a review, but it's a slow reading for me, not because I'm not enjoying the book. Rest is Resistance, a Manifesto by Tricia Hersey. And I've mentioned this book so many times. It's just that I haven't finished it yet. But I'm enjoying it. It's poetic, but it's stressing me out. The book is stressing me out, which brought me to Stop Working on Yourself, which brought me to Dr. Duramo's video on YouTube, Stop Working on Yourself. I actually watched this video a while ago and I meant to talk about it. I don't know why I never ever did. And surprisingly enough, it only has like about 17,000 views on YouTube. It really should have more because it's just good. I think it's not really new information, but it is just a reminder. So she basically is talking about how you can block your own flow, block your own mojo, block your own healing, how working on yourself blocks healing sometimes, right? And I'm like, how is that? But mind body medicine definitely focuses on, has an aspect of the energy that we let flow in our body, right? I'm, wacky doodle over here. Definitely, am a proponent of energy and energy healing and all that, right? So the problem is, working on yourself can block that healing. Sometimes when I talk about stress management, and I tell people, I say, you're stressing about stressing. I do that a lot. I'm sure a lot of folks do it. Stressing about stressing, like creating the stress in our head before we even know if there's actually something to stress about, because we're trying to solve it or get ahead of it. We're already thinking about it and planning for it when it's not needed. So we're stressing about stressing. It's almost the same concept when you're working on yourself, which is causing the blockage. And I am one of the self-help girlies. Like I am. I have all the books. I watch all the videos. I try to incorporate it all. And I think there are some things that have been happening to me that I need to adjust to, that is contributing. So now I'm like trying to read about all these things, and coupled with reading Rest is Resistance, I'm in a quandary. In a complete quandary. Okay? So the video, again, is on YouTube. If you put in Dr. Kim Duramo, Stop Working on Yourself, it will come up. Completely recommend. But these are just some of the highlights that I got. Going back, working on yourself can block healing. Come as you are and let it flow. Who's gonna let it flow? This was who? Am I a let it flow girly? I try to be. And that's something that we kind of have to remember. Come as you are and let it flow. Resilience is not resistance. It needs fluidity. Just like energy is fluid, water is fluid, letting it flow is fluid, but it's not resistance. The other thing, you can experience anxiety patterns, fear patterns, fatigue patterns, and it's to break the pattern. And this kind of goes back to when I was talking about how people stress themselves out, because it's kind of like an anxiety pattern or a fear pattern, because in order to get ahead of a situation, you're going to start thinking about, well, if this happens, that happens, this happens, well, this is what I need to do, yada, yada, yada. And I always say, slow down, because it hasn't happened yet. Slow down. You're getting ahead of yourself. But that seems to me, when she's talking about anxiety patterns, that's how we kind of contribute to that. And the only way you kind of learn to break the pattern is to stop, right? Is to stop in, I know it's cliche. Oh my gosh, I know it's cliche, but to stop and to be in the moment. In that moment. That is a super, 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 super hard thing to do. Oh, just stop. Oh, just stop. That's the epitome of easier said than done. But if we don't make it a point to start thinking about those things, and we don't make it a point to recognize those, and we don't make it a point to be mindful of those things, then we'll just let the cycle keep going, and we will never actually even attempt to think about it. Because sometimes just thinking about it and realizing that it's happened, you can do your own personal intervention. So again, here, working on ourselves can create a stress state. I feel like I have been experiencing that, because I feel lately I just get so worked up about not getting certain things done, not being a certain way, not being better in certain aspects. And although she doesn't talk about it here, I do in my past studies and in other studies that I've done. And I'll bring it up again. We'll probably kind of have a separate podcast about it. This does stem, self-esteem has a really big factor in how we view ourselves and how we think of ourselves. But that baseline of self-esteem kind of has a huge factor on some of these things that she's talking about. So it's really kind of all connected. And that's where you can kind of stress yourselves out by pursuing and working on health, which is kind of crazy, right? Because I'm trying to be better. But what happens is you feel some type of way because you're not being better. I do have a note like hormonal shifts are needed, because what happens is then your stress hormones are activated. Even on a micro level, your stress hormones are activated, your cortisol is activated, and things like that. And you probably don't even notice. Especially then it kind of reels into, I have a note, be anxious for nothing. Like already being anxious and already stressing about things that may not have happened. One of the things that I got from her video is upgrade your perception, change ideas that create resistance. Again, we kind of touched, it's easier said than done, but the whole point is to bring a level of awareness. And when we bring that level of awareness, we can at least make a dent. We can at least be like, whoa, something is happening. Let me pause, right? Which is one of my, like, I really love this book and I always talk about it. There's a couple of books that I'll always talk about, but that really kind of opened my eyes. But in The Upside of Stress, one of the things that the author, Kelly McGonigal, talks about is changing our perception about stress in order to make it more usable. And then Dr. Duramo kind of talks about the same thing. Upgrading our perception, change our ideas that create resistance, change our kind of thought patterns so that we can recognize when we're going into that pattern and kind of like pause it. And one of the things is allow yourself to feel your body, allow yourself to receive energy and healing. And it seems like she's saying how we can do that is by just being. I'm not a just being kind of gal. Like my girlies and guys, if we're trying to get something done, if we're of the mind, like trying to accomplish a goal, no, it's not. Especially like the people who are doers, and no, that's no. But that's the only way that you can is to just allow yourself the space to let it flow. Because if not, again, you're activating micro states of fight or flight, fear, survival, like the stress response, which is fight or flight, where your parasympathetic starts to fire off. And the thing with that is you'll move into a chronic stress state. Like those little micro will add up, and then you'll move into a chronic stress state, which that's really the problem. When you move into a chronic stress state is where then it can lead to health problems and things like that. So, kind of stressing out about healing and what we're going to do and yada, yada, yada does not help. Of course, the regular, normal, typical things, if you listen to, things you're going to hear, changing your behavior, changing your diet, changing your activity, all that stuff. That's all great. But right now, right here, like what I'm feeling is you got to go. And she says, have to go beneath the surface and change the mindset. Which, I mean, I love it. It sounds so good, right? And I'm at the place now where I'm like, well, how do I change the mindset? And I can tell you, I can definitely tell you, these are the things that I haven't been doing. I have not, been mindful. I haven't been journaling. Like another obsession of mine is journaling. So 3 obsession of mine, entertainment stuff, and the entertainment stuff encompasses movies, books, music, all of that. Advocating for increased stress management in your life, and journaling. Journaling, because journaling kind of helps me do that. And when I don't, I realize that things just start to go haywire. Like when I step away from my creativity, and that's another thing where, when I say use what you've got, one of the things that I will always talk about, you will hear me talk about when I'm talking about stress management and what's in your toolkit, whatever, is activating your creativity, your imagination. That's like super, super important, which is why I kind of talk about entertainment and, because it activates your imagination, and it could be small, whether you're writing, whether you're engaging, whether you're things like that. So I know, in the past, I haven't been using what's in my toolkit. Let me be honest. And so my plan, in order to change my mindset, in order to stop working on myself to work on myself. Like, what is that? Because I love the tools. I love the tools. I love the books. I do love educating myself. But I think there is something there is I'm not allowing that information to flow. I'm not allowing the energy to flow. I don't have an outlet for it because there is some place. Sometimes you get stuck. What do you do when you get stuck? Like, and it's not necessarily in all aspects of your life, because there could be other aspects that could be great. Your relationship could be great. Your work life could be great, but you just feel ugh, or you don't feel, you feel off. What do you do at that time? And you kind of have to, and I think that feeling off is like the blockage, like it's not flowing. Your mojo's not flowing. Your mindset is not there. And what she talks about, you know, this is the last note that I wrote, is going beneath the surface and changing the mindset. And I don't want to reckon us to cars or, you know, like inanimate objects, but, you know, like when your car needs like an oil change or it needs a tune up or something like that. So there's sometimes like there's different aspects of our lives where we need a refresher. We need to get back. We need to remind ourselves. We need a checkup. So I'm thinking my check engine light. Well, I'm not going to say my check engine light, my maintenance light. Actually, what I've been going through, my check engine light might be on too, when you think about it. But this is about y'all. Sometimes we be ignoring the maintenance light. And I feel like these past 4 months, I've been ignoring the maintenance light, but I'm back. And I'm gonna take myself to the shop. I'm going to resume my journaling. I'm going to resume my creative flow. There's another thing that we're going to talk about is distractions and technology, which I have been indulging in also, which does not help with the flow. So that's what I'm going to do. So as we end, I do want to ask, what are you doing for your stress management today? Where are you at with your stress management today? And a journal prompt for you is, what are you trying to figure out? I had to write a little statement to myself. Today, I'm just trying to figure some shit out, and that's okay. Which is part of my reset. It's how I started my journal, what I put in my journal. But also with that, because sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to kind of like be in the crapper. So with that, what are the things that I'm trying to figure out? Like, I know what they are for myself personally. I kind of know what I've been going through. I kind of know what I've been feeling. But I haven't been writing about it or dialoguing about it. So for you, the question is always going to be, how are you managing your stress today? But also, what are the things that you're trying to figure out? And if they're not, that's fine too. That's great. Write about how you don't got shit to figure out and how things are going great. And maybe it's time to focus on a new hobby or start something new, or, you know, areas to improve, or how to keep the status quo going. But that's your prompt. And please like, share, send it out. Your girl is back. Your girly is back. Trying to refocus on some things and change some things up. Lightvee.com, at Lightvee on most social media platforms, Lightvee.com, and you can hit A Drop of Happy, which is the podcast arm, practically on all of the podcasting platforms. Live light and stress well, share, and come on back.